It's my belief that Memorial Day should be one of our nation's most solemn, but also most patriotic days. It's a day when Americans, regardless of their ideology, their race, their creed, their religion, their politics, doesn't matter. Collectively, we all remember the sacrifices of those who answer our nation's call to serve and who are no longer with us today. The significance of this day is often confused. It's distorted by many in America who don't fully understand or appreciate the true meaning of what this very special day has been set aside for. I truly believe that if all Americans fully recognized and fully appreciated the meaning of Memorial Day, they'd be better citizens in our nation and be able to take more pride in our great country and what it has stood for over the past 248 years, since our founding fathers created our more perfect union. I'm a Marine. That's the only statistics I have. 248. Memorial Day is a time for us to take stock of the present, reflect on the past, and renew our commitment to our future, of our continued freedom and liberties that we all enjoy as Americans. Our precious gift of freedom is fragile, though, and we should never forget how precious and costly it has been and still is to maintain today. Many around the world dream of and hope for the type of freedom, liberty, and justice that we have, that we enjoy just because we're American citizens. Economic opportunities. Because of those that we're honoring and remembering at this ceremony, we have those freedoms and those liberties and those opportunities. I fully realize that in these current distressed times in our nation, many of our citizens are frustrated. Many are discouraged. Many are downright angry. They're pissed off with where they feel our nation is today and where it might be headed in the future. Many of our citizens are genuinely concerned with the current status of our republic and the freedoms that we all hold dear and that we enjoy. Personally, I have a grave concern for the ever-increasing moral decay that I feel is eroding the very foundation of who America is and what it was founded to be. I have grandsons, and I want them in a morally sound America that I grew up in. That's what I fight for. And while it's true that we in America have plenty to be worried about, concerned about, I want you to all really to know and appreciate there's still no place on earth that's better to live than this United States of America. I've been privileged to visit over 50 countries around the world as a Marine. And all I can personally say is I attest that America still is the best place to live and we are the greatest nation on earth. I've been to all those other countries. I never wanted to live there. I wanted to come home. And especially today, I want us all to remember this largely because of those we're talking about and honoring on Memorial Day, that we still are the greatest nation on earth. My liberty, your liberty, and the continued hope for our liberty was paid for by the personal liberties of those that we're honoring today. They gave of themselves that we can be here today. We must never forget that liberty and freedom that we enjoy in our great nation never has been or ever will be free. It's been bought and paid for by the brave Americans who we honor. Brave Americans who all took their turn of duty standing on our nation's wall of liberty and freedom, and whatever duty, wherever that duty was, if it was during times of war or during times of leading up to war, during peace to be prepared for war to protect our nation, doesn't matter when, regardless of when and where they served, today we're honoring them because they've gone before us and they stood in defense of our nation for us. President Ronald Reagan once said, "No arsenal, no weapon in all the arsenals of the world is so formidable as the will and the moral courage of free men and women." That is stronger than any weapon in this world. And as long as we have men and women in America who have the will and moral courage to answer the call to serve our nation, we'll continue to be the land of the free, a land envied by others, a land where its citizens know that their lives, their liberties, their pursuits of happiness will be protected and will be preserved. America has been the land of the free for 248 years because it's been the land of our brave veterans whom we're honoring today for all those years. Every Memorial Day, my heart is drawn back to a time when I personally learned the true meaning of what Memorial Day is all about. Like I said, as I hear those planes flying over, it takes my mind back to 15 years ago when I was deployed to combat in Afghanistan in the service of our nation. One of my duties was to preside as the senior Marine officer over ramp ceremonies, where we honored our fallen warriors who were being sent home by military air back to their loved ones for internment. Ramp ceremonies. Regardless of the time of day or night, everyone who could would assemble as a solemn honor guard on the airfield by forming two long silent ranks facing each other while Amazing Grace was being played on bagpipes as the fallen Marine or sailor's flag-draped casket was carried by their brothers in arms up into the waiting aircraft to carry them to their final ride home. My Sergeant Major and I were the last ones to kneel over that flag-draped casket in the aircraft as taps was being played outside and as the aircraft ramp was being closed. When I hear taps being played today, I think of the fallen's family and the pain and the sadness they must be feeling over the loss of their loved one. And I would reflect back on both my own and the fallen family's feeling of deep remorse over an unfinished life that ended at such a young age. One comfort I learned to feel, though, at those times and now, is that knowing that their sacrifice, they did that for others. They did that during an act of selflessness for their brothers in arms. And by learning that and understanding and truly appreciating that, having been in combat, that's when I began to find comfort in the understanding that the real completeness of a person's life should never be measured by how many years they lived. It should be more appropriately measured by their deeds, their valor, and their sacrifices for others that they gave when they lived. That was the purpose that should be remembered, no matter how many years that was in their life. In our combat headquarters in Afghanistan, we created a wall of remembrance with the pictures and names of every one of our Marines and sailors who had fallen on the field of battle while we were there. And in the middle of that wall was a plaque, and I helped make it. That plaque said, "All gave some, but some gave all." And every time as we walked into the operations center to have our battle staff meeting, we passed that wall, and we looked at their faces and remembered who they were. For all of us here who've lost a loved one who served in our nation's military, whether in recent times or in times long past, I want you to know your veteran is both honored and remembered now, today, here, by me and everybody here, and by a grateful nation. In closing, I'm going to leave you with words spoken 2,500 years ago by the king of Sparta as he stood with his 300 warriors in a place called Thermopylae in ancient Greece. King Leonidas of Sparta knew that he and his men would not survive their battle against the massively overwhelming numbers of Persians they were about to face. He knew they would not be returning home to their loved ones. So he picked one soldier to take a message back home before the final battle. He told that soldier, and I feel what he told that soldier is a special message, and it has a special meaning for us, and it's appropriate for us to think about it and reflect on it today as we remember our loved ones that aren't here with us today. King Leonidas told that soldier, "Go home, and when you get home, tell them of us, and say for their tomorrow, we gave our today." For our sitting here today, the people will recognize on Memorial Day gave their day. We never should forget that. So I want to say thank you for letting me join you in this very special ceremony today. It's where I needed to be today. I'll be at another ceremony on Monday in this uniform. It'll dry out. For those of us who've been to war in Iraq and Afghanistan, this is a very nice, cool day. It is. But thank you for my Marines, Semper Fidelis, and may God continue to bless our great state of Florida and our wonderful United States of America. Semper Fidelis.
Wow.